3 years after my husband died, I still hadn't opened the box in the back of our closet more than twice. Tonight, I opened it a third time. Inside, wrapped in an old cardigan of his I never gave away, was a diary, small, cloth-bound, the corners soft from handling, a water stain bleeding across the cover, like a bruise that never fully healed. I found it 9 days after the funeral, in a locked drawer of his desk. I want you to understand what that discovery did to a woman already flattened by grief. I opened a dead man's private book expecting, somehow, to find more of him, and instead found a stranger's handwriting confessing a love affair, page after page. For 18 years, I thought Daniel and I told each other everything. I have since learned that a marriage can hold two entirely different truths at once, and that the surviving spouse is the one left to decide, alone, in the dark, which one she's going to live inside. I chose the worst one, and I chose it for 3 straight years, in 100 small ways nobody around me ever noticed, a coldness at his grave, a refusal to cry at the mention of his name in certain company, a grudge I fed in private and never once spoke aloud. Tonight, there's a dedication ceremony in his honor at the town library, a whole room named for him. And I am bringing this book with me, because tonight, after 3 years of carrying it alone, I finally intend to find out exactly who she was. The Hartwell Public Library sits at the corner of Main and Court, a squat brick building that has looked exactly the same since I was a girl. String lights strung along its portico for tonight's event, glowing gold against the coming dark. A banner over the entrance reads the Daniel Hale Memorial Reading Room, Dedication, and beneath it, people I have known my whole adult life are filing in, 3 years late, but no less sincere. From the car, I watch the lights breathe against the brick, warm and steady, and I think, everyone walking into that building believes they already know exactly how this story ends. Here is the truth about grief nobody warns you about. It doesn't stay in one lane. I have grieved my husband genuinely, achingly, for 3 years. And in that same 3 years, in the very same chest, I have quietly, privately hated him. Both things have been true at once, which is its own kind of exhausting. Tonight, I am expected to walk into a room full of people who loved Daniel simply, the way you're supposed to, and accept their condolences gracefully, and I honestly don't know if I have that performance left in me. I have rehearsed the small talk the way actors rehearse a script they've grown to resent. Thank you. That means so much. He would have loved this room. Every line true, every line a little bit of a lie, because I have spent 3 years unable to say his name without also, quietly, in the same breath, resenting him for something I never had the courage to actually confirm. The diary is in my handbag. I checked the clasp twice in the driveway, the way another woman might check that she has her lipstick. Tonight, I told myself, climbing these steps with my heels sinking slightly into the lawn, I am finally going to look someone in the eye and ask her name. Here is where it started 3 years ago, 9 days after the funeral, when I finally made myself go through his desk. Everyone tells a new widow there's no rush, take your time, and everyone is wrong, because the not knowing what's inside a dead man's drawers is its own quiet torment. The bottom drawer was locked. I found the key taped beneath it, which should have told me something by itself. An ordinary man doesn't hide a spare key from his own wife unless he's hiding something with it. Inside, tax documents, an old watch that had stopped years before, and wrapped in a soft gray sweater at the very back, a small book with a water-stained cover, its spine cracked from being opened again and again, in a house where I had believed, right up until that afternoon, that I knew every single thing. I read the first page standing up, still in my funeral clothes, sheer curtains stirring at the bedroom window behind me, though I don't remember opening it. The handwriting was cramped, urgent, looping in a way that felt, I told myself, in that first stunned hour, like a man writing in secret, in a hurry, afraid of being caught. It described a love so specific, so devouring, that something in my own chest caved in quietly, the way old floors do. Stolen afternoons. A person addressed only as you, rarely by name, except once, twice, a single initial. G. I sat down on the edge of the bed we had shared for 18 years, and I made a decision, in the space of about 4 minutes, that would govern the next 3 years of my life. I decided my husband had loved someone else, deeply, secretly, and that I would carry it alone, like a stone sewn into a coat pocket, and never tell a soul. The reading room is full by the time I make it inside. Law partners, old clients, 2 former mayors, a scattering of Daniel's college friends who now have grandchildren of their own. An old friend named Carol catches both my hands in hers and tells me how beautiful the room turned out, how humbled Daniel would have been, and I say thank you, in the voice I have practiced for 3 years, the voice that sounds exactly like a grieving widow, and not at all like a woman standing in a crowded room holding a stranger's confession about her own marriage. Carol asks, gently, if I'm doing all right, and I hear myself say fine, better, getting there, 3 small eyes delivered in the space of 4 seconds, and she squeezes my hand and moves on satisfied, because that is exactly the answer this room is built to accept. I search the remaining faces for one in particular. I have been searching for her in one form or another for 3 years. And there she is. Grace Linden by the refreshment table, laughing at something one of the junior partners has said, the exact same easy, familiar laugh I remember from every firm function for 11 years, the laugh that always made me feel, without ever being able to prove it, like the outsider in my own husband's professional life. She worked 12 feet from Daniel's office for over a decade. She organized his calendar, knew his moods, brought him coffee without being asked. If there was a G in my husband's secret life, I decided a long time ago, quietly alone, in the dark, that it was almost certainly her. My hand finds the clasp of my handbag the way another woman's hand might find a rosary. A sconce on the wall beside me flickers on a faulty old dimmer switch, catching and letting go of the gold lettering on a shelf of the reading room's freshly donated books. I have rehearsed this moment in my kitchen, in my car, in the shower, for longer than I want to admit to anyone. I am 43 years old, and I am about to corner a woman at a memorial dedication and accuse her, with evidence, of loving my husband. I tell myself, walking toward her now, that it will finally feel like justice after 3 years. I ask Grace if we can speak somewhere quieter, and she comes willingly, kindly, the way she has always been kind to me, which has only ever made my 3 years of quiet suspicion feel worse. We stand between 2 new shelving units that still smell faintly of sawdust and fresh varnish. I take the diary out of my bag. I watch her face for the flinch of recognition I have been waiting 3 years to see. I found this in Daniel's desk, I say, and my voice comes out steadier than I feel. After. I think you should hear some of it. I open to a page I have read perhaps 200 times, and I begin to read aloud. The stolen afternoons, the ache of it, the initial G. My own voice shaking despite every rehearsal, watching Grace's expression the entire time for the crack and composure I have promised myself, after 3 long years, I would finally get to see. But Grace's face does something I have not once, in 3 years of imagining this exact moment, imagined it doing. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't fall. It frowns, genuinely, openly confused, the frown of someone trying to solve a math problem, not the frown of someone caught. Maggie, she says slowly, I don't understand. Why would you think this is about you and Daniel and me? There is no performance in her voice at all. I have spent 3 years constructing a villain out of this woman's easy laugh and her closeness to my husband's daily life, and standing 12 inches from her, holding the evidence in my own trembling hands, I watched the entire theory begin, very quietly, to not survive contact with her actual face. She takes the book gently from my hands, not snatching it, asking first, The way you'd ask to hold something fragile, and tilts it toward the small table lamp beside us, its old flame-shaped bulb pulsing faintly the way tired library fixtures do. She studies the handwriting for a long moment, long enough that the noise of the party behind us seems to recede entirely. "Maggie," she says finally, and there's something careful now in how she says my name. I typed Daniel's memos for 11 years. I know his hand. This isn't it. I want to argue with her. I have built 3 years of architecture on top of this handwriting being his. "Look at the way the E loops back on itself," she says, turning the book so the lamplight falls across the page. "And this isn't ink gone brown with age. This paper is old, Maggie. This book is decades old." I stare at the page the way you stare at a photograph of yourself from a party you don't remember ever attending. I have read these words perhaps 200 times over 3 years, and I have never once, not a single time, actually looked at them. Not really, not the way I am looking now, under this borrowed lamplight, with someone else's steady voice giving me permission to see it. The loop of that E. The particular slant of it, leaning hard to the right, like it's in a hurry to get somewhere. My hands go cold before my mind catches up, the way hands always seem to know first. I have seen this handwriting before. I have seen it in old birthday cards. I have seen it in my mother's recipe box, in the back of the good silver drawer, in a name I haven't let myself think about in over a decade. My sister Ellen was 12 years older than me, which meant that by the time I was old enough to really know her, she was already half a myth in our family, the sister who'd moved away, the name that made my mother's mouth go thin whenever anyone asked. But before all of that, she was a young woman at a desk by a window in our childhood house, dust drifting gold through the late afternoon light, filling notebook after notebook with the kind of handwriting a girl practices when she wants her private thoughts to look as beautiful as she feels. She taught me to ride a bicycle in the driveway of that house the summer I was 7, running alongside me with one hand hovering just off the seat, laughing every time I wobbled, and for years that was the only memory of her I let myself keep in easy reach. The rest I'd quietly filed under complicated, under later, under a story that was apparently none of a 12-year-old's business. I remember her laughing on the phone in the hallway, late, in a voice I'd never heard her use for our parents. I remember being told, not long after, that she'd gone to stay with our aunt in Ohio. I was 12, and I believed absolutely everything I was told. I keep exactly one photograph of my sister, tucked behind my license in my wallet, worn so soft at the corners it feels like cloth. I pull it out now, standing alone at the edge of a party held in my husband's honor, without her ever knowing any of this was happening, and I look at her face the way you look at a stranger's face, when you finally understand you never really knew them at all. Ellen died 11 years ago, in a town 3 states away, alone, and I found out by phone, 2 weeks after the fact, from a hospital administrator reading a list of contacts off an old intake form. My family, I am beginning to understand tonight, has a long, well-practiced habit of learning things too late. This is the part one have to build from fragments. A line in the diary here, a half-memory there, the particular ache in my sister's handwriting whenever she wrote the initial G. I picture it, because I have to, because someone finally has to picture it for her. A young man and a young woman, silhouettes at the edge of the river behind the old courthouse, the water catching the last orange light of a summer evening 30-some years ago, before either of them became who they'd become, before he was Gordon Ashford, celebrated pillar of this town, and she was nobody's sister, nobody's cautionary tale, just a woman of 24 who believed, the way you're allowed to, believe at 24, that this particular feeling was going to be the rest of her life. She wrote about that river more than once. She wrote that he was the first person outside our own family who ever asked her a question, and then actually waited quietly for the whole answer. I think about how rare that must have felt to her, growing up the way we both did, in a house where being heard was never something you could count on, and I think about how much of that rareness he must have known he was offering her, and chose, in the end, to take back anyway. I'll read you her actual words because I think she deserves that after 30 years of other people summarizing her into a single sentence. She wrote, "G says his father doesn't decide who he loves. I want so badly to believe him. I have never in my life felt this certain of anything, and I have never in my life felt so much like a secret." She was 24. She wrote in a hand that leaned hard to the right, like it was in a hurry to get somewhere good. She had no way of knowing, filling that page in a notebook she'd hide inside a hope chest, that it would end up locked in a drawer in another woman's house, 30 years later, mistaken for someone else's sin entirely. Here is the part of the story my own family never told me, the part I've had to reconstruct tonight from a dead woman's diary and 31 years of a family's silence. Gordon's father was Whitfield Ashford, who owned the textile mill that employed nearly a third of this town, including our own father, who ran the loom floor there for 26 years. I picture the meeting because I have to. A mahogany office at the mill's headquarters. The same building, I realize tonight, whose old brick facade now houses this very library, a desk lamp flickering the way old wiring always did in that place. Whitfield Ashford leaning back in his chair with a particular calm of a man who has never once in his life had to raise his voice to get what he wants. In the diary, Ellen only ever wrote down one line she said Gordon repeated to her afterward, word for word, the way you memorize the sentence that ends something. "My father says a Callaway girl is not a decision I'm allowed to make on my own." Whitfield did not forbid his son from loving my sister outright. He simply mentioned, once, almost gently, that loom foreman at his mill served at his pleasure, and that a foreman with a disgraced daughter was not the kind of man he liked representing his floor. Our father never said a word to Ellen about it. He didn't have to. She figured out on her own, within a week, exactly what she was costing him just by staying. My sister left town within the year. Nobody in my family ever called it what it actually was. I picture her at the bus station because someone has to, because I am the only person left alive who still can. Her breath rising in the cold morning air like smoke off a doused fire, curling past a platform lamp and dissolving into a sky the color of old dishwater. I picture her checking one more time the length of the platform for a young man who has decided, quietly, the way Ashford men always seem to decide things quietly, that loving her was a chapter, not a life. She left facing forward, I have to believe, because that is the only way I can bear to picture my own sister leaving. I did not learn a single true fact about any of this until tonight. Across the reading room, a small commotion of warmth ripples through the crowd, and I look up in time to see him arrive. Gordon Ashford, 57 years old now, silver-haired, beautifully tailored, moving through a receiving line of handshakes and shoulder pats with the particular ease of a man who has never once in his adult life had to explain himself to anyone. Someone touches his elbow and gestures toward a podium, toward a small easel holding a plaque I haven't yet read. He laughs warmly at something and straightens his jacket, and I understand, watching him, that I am looking at a man who has spent 30 years building a life on top of a story he assumed nobody left alive would ever be able to tell. I make myself walk close enough to read it. The Hartwell Community Pillar Award, engraved beneath the spotlight on a cheap timer, snapping half a shade brighter every few seconds like something impatient to begin, in recognition of a lifetime of service and civic generosity. Gordon Ashford. Beneath the plaque, someone has propped a small photograph of Gordon and Daniel together, decades ago, the young mentor and his young associate, both of them wearing the same easy, trusting smile. I think about how much affection can be built, brick by brick, on top of a foundation nobody ever thought to check. His wife, Rose, catches my eye across the room and gives me the same warm, uncomplicated smile she has given me at every one of these events for 20 years. A woman who has spent nearly 3 decades believing, as far as I can tell, in the entirely good man she married. I have no evidence at all that Rose knows anything. Standing there with my sister's whole stolen life inside a book in my handbag, I feel, for the first time all evening, something other than anger. I feel something close to dread on her behalf for what is about to happen to the rest of her night. The event's organizer finds me near the podium and asks, kindly, if I'm ready. Daniel's widow is expected to say a few words before tonight's award presentation, a small tribute, nothing long. I have 3 index cards in my cardigan pocket, written last week, about Daniel's kindness and his terrible taste in ties, and I realize, standing there, that I am not going to use a single word of them. Outside the reading room's tall windows behind the podium, the season's first snow has begun, soft and unhurried, drifting past the glass in the library's floodlights, the whole town going quietly white while nobody in this warm room has noticed yet. I climb the 2 low steps. The room quiets the way rooms do when they expect something gentle. I look out at 100 familiar faces arranged for a tribute to my husband, and at Gordon Ashford in the front row, already smiling in preparation for applause that has not yet arrived, and I open my sister's diary instead of my prepared notes. I was going to talk about my husband tonight, I say, and my voice does not shake, which surprises me more than anyone in that room. Instead, I'm going to read you something written by my sister, Ellen Calloway, 31 years ago, in this very town, when she was 24 years old. I read her words exactly as she wrote them. The certainty, the secrecy, the initial G, and I watch a few faces in the front rows start to soften into the kind of gentle, sentimental confusion an audience wears when it thinks it's about to be moved. Then I read the part 1 found only tonight, in the back pages, in handwriting gone shaky with fear, a threat made against her father's livelihood, a family's name protected at the cost of a girl's entire life. A young man who let it happen and never once, in 31 years, said her name out loud again. The soft confusion in the room turns into something else entirely. Gordon knows exactly who I'm talking about, I say, looking directly at him, at the smile already dying on his face in real time, in front of the very room that is 30 seconds away from handing him an award for a lifetime of service. I am not shouting. I have never once, in this entire story, needed to shout. My sister spent the last 11 years of her life alone, 3 states away, and this town never even learned her name. I think it's time it heard the whole lifetime, Gordon, not just the parts that were convenient. I watch it happen to him in real time. The practiced ease draining out of his face like color leaving a photograph. Beside him, Rosa's hand slides slowly off his arm, not dramatically, not with a gasp, just a quiet, permanent withdrawal, the kind that doesn't come back. Nobody in that room moves to help him. There is no lawyer here to object on his behalf, no closed-door mediation waiting down some hallway to soften this for him. There is only a full room, a lit podium, and 31 years finally arriving, all at once, exactly on time. Grace finds me afterward in the new reading room, once the crowd is thinned and the snow outside has started to stick to the courthouse lawn across the street. We don't talk about Gordon. We talk about Daniel a little, honestly, for the first time in 3 years. The real him, not the version I'd spent 3 years quietly grieving and resenting in the very same breath. I finally tell her the truth of it, that I'd spent 3 years quietly deciding, in my own head, that she was the reason my marriage had failed me, and never once said a word to her face. Grace is quiet for a moment, and then she says, not unkindly, that she'd felt it, some cooling in a room she couldn't name the cause of, some door that never quite opened to her the way it used to. She says she's glad, at least, to finally know what she'd been standing outside of. I tell her I'm sorry it took a dead woman's diary to make me ask instead of assume. Before I leave, I take the one photograph I have of my sister and set it on the highest shelf of my husband's memorial room, where the reading lamp's warm light will find it every single evening this library stays open, his name on the door, and hers, quietly, finally, inside it. I don't yet know what this town will do with what I said tonight. I only know that for the first time in 11 years, my sister's name was spoken out loud, in public, by someone who loved her, and that I am no longer carrying either of them alone.